Hello, my friends. ¿Cómo está? Today I'm going to do something a little unusual and hopefully powerful. And I'm going to title it Prison Nutrition Reform. And I'll give you a little backstory on the reason I want to do this, and is because, as many of you know, some of you that follow scripture and stuff like that, I'm not a religious person, but I do recall plenty of scripture which has some great wisdoms in it, whether it's Bhagavad Gita or it's the Bible or it's the Buddhism, whatever it is. But it talks about our prisoners and in caring and praying for them. Praying, that's an easy way out. But there are an awful lot of people that are in prison that probably shouldn't be in prison, and a lot of people that aren't in prison that maybe should. But I'm not the judge and jury. I like to think objectively, and that's the way I'm going to kind of tackle this. I'm going to probably have to do this in a couple different bits and pieces, but as a 20-year holistic health practitioner and somebody who's worked with thousands of people, I'm going to give my take on what I think is one of the most ridiculous things in our country. And this is not just in the United States, but Philippines as well and around the world. I personally don't understand I know everything's about money and control. That's pretty clear when it comes to government and stuff like that. Oftentimes, most of our people that supposedly are our servants become our, gods that people look to for their well-being, and instead of looking inside and taking care of themselves. But that's another bit of a different subject. But I never understood the math. I was in business for a lot of years, and yes, I had my failings there, and that virtually had all to do with health. But I knew how to do numbers. I was pretty good with numbers. I don't understand how you take, let's say, and the backstory on this is my son, who's never hurt a person in his life, he's never been in a fight in his life, he's never threatened anybody's life in his life, he's never been arrested, he's been, nobody's perfect, but he's been a very good, I'm very proud of him no matter what, and he's had some issues that he got involved with some people, and he's always been man enough to not pass the buck, but he got involved with some people, and he was incarcerated for drugs. Now, he never sold any of the drugs, he used them himself, but of course he had them with guns. He had guns, they were all legal. He had guns, and you put those two together and they nailed him. They took a sick young man who's type 1 diabetic, and they took him, fortunately he's in a medical facility in Minnesota, but they took him and sentenced him to 6 years in prison. First offense, again, like I said, never hurt a person, never sold one of the drugs, never was accused of selling the drugs, but they nailed him. And trust me, it's not politics, because it wasn't a left or right thing, because the Michigan judge that nailed him was all conservative as you can imagine. But that aside, I don't personally understand. Now my son is just incidentally, he was put in because they would not treat him, in another mistake, and I'm not going to judge him, because whether I would have done it or not, probably not, but an inmate gave him something because he was in such severe pain, and they wouldn't treat him in his stomach and legs, and he took a pain medication, and they put him in solitary confinement. Now, today marks probably the 47th day, and they're going to keep him in there another 30 days. And a couple days ago, he let his mother and I know that he has got pancreatic cancer in his pancreas. Now, that is obviously disheartening. I could hold back my emotion because I've let plenty of it out before. But to my knowledge, because he can't call us or anything like that, they're not treating it in any way. No special diet, nothing like that. And to me, that's sickening. I have a very, very different way of thinking about our system today. And it's not just because of him, but I just, like a lot of things, I'm a very in-depth researcher. But let's get back. Aside from that, of course, that's crushing. So as somebody who is very versed and educated in fasting, which is something that all plant life, all animal life does in nature, is including our humankind as we've evolved. Fasting is part of health. That's a critical part of health. there again, you're probably, after 3 days, you're punished for it. But that's what he's got. That's his options right now. So hopefully that's something I can do and teach him, and he can do those fasts without being punished for that there as well. But there needs to be certain things. So I'm getting sidetracked there, but the point being is, when you look at it makes absolutely zero sense to me whether you're a dietitian. I'm far more educated than most dietitians because I have the blessing of being able to be a holistic health practitioner. So I've got nothing to sell. All the thousands of people I've helped, it was virtually all of it was charity. So everything from cancer to diabetes to whatever else. And I'm talking about nutrition, I'm talking about juicing, I'm talking about food, I'm talking about Socrates, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. These are things that obviously have worked since the beginning of time, but we seem to have lost in our society, we seem to have lost the idea that it's better to nail somebody to the cross basically for doing drugs in their own home, as that's their choice, right or wrong. They do it in their own home, their own choice. He worked full time, he did his thing, he showed up for work and everything else, and he made those choices. Yet when you put them in prison, they're right on those prescription drugs, and we know that prescription drugs in America alone kill somewhere around 200,000 people a year. If you don't believe that, look at the CDC or do a little bit of research at in the book Death by Medicine and by Gary Null. Just peruse through that and see some real stats and some real facts. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. As long as you're taking their drugs, well, that's okay. No problem. Even though they kill far more people than illicit drugs, no problem. And sicken them and hospitalize them. But again, going back, now why would you? Let's just talk about dollars and cents. I'm not even, I am talking about the health of the inmates. I don't care what they've done. If you're gonna keep them alive, then treat them like people. If you're gonna treat them like animals, well then go throw them out to the pasture and do whatever you got to do. But the game that's being played, I don't quite understand it, because when you give proper nutrition, you're talking about somebody, whether they're sexual predators. Now, why would you give a sexual predator, continue to give them food that you know damn well is going to continue to feed the testosterone problems, or instead of giving them things like iodine, or look, give them soy, that'll help. But why would you not give those things that feed the mind and feed the cells and feed the things that eliminate cravings, that eliminate insulin resistance, that eliminate heart disease, that eliminate the need for statins, that eliminate, aggressiveness. We're talking about, I'm not talking about I'm talking plant-based, but I'm not talking about a vegan diet. I would never do that to myself or anybody else. But the cost, when you're talking about the true cost, let's say vitamin D alone, I've gone through this because these are items that I don't understand, because when I go down this list, let's say you got 1,000 inmates, like where my son is at. You got 1,000 federal inmates in a federal prison there. These nutrients all together for the 1,000 would be about $250 a day, $91,000 a year for the whole prison system in that system. And I guarantee I could show you the charts. This is all PubMed based. It's all peer-reviewed science. You go ahead and look. Vitamin C has got over 100,000 different studies over the years. I've read thousands of them. Vitamin D has got thousands of studies. I've read 1,000 of them. You can go up and down. I've done the research. The question is, they already know. The average person knows you need sunshine. So if they're not going to get sunshine, okay, you got them in jail. Why the hell aren't we giving them vitamin D? Let's say 5,000 IUs, not little baby amounts that barely help a tadpole. I'm talking about stuff that actually is effective, that can help their mind, can help their brains, to help them stay less aggressive, to stop the depression, to help with depression. Things that are critical for society. I mean, these are things that when they get out and when they're in there, that they can actually, that's their family. That's the family that they got to deal with. Now, why in the world are we not investing in that? When you're talking $91,000 a year for all this stuff for 1,000 inmates, and it's proven that this can do immense help for these people, keep them alive. You could save hundreds of thousands easily in medicines alone within that prison system itself. And $91,000 a year, what is that? The cost of what the government spends for 3 inmates a year? I mean, it's ridiculous. So, for instance, vitamin D, vitamin C. You could easily give 2,000 IUs, or 2,000 to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D and a couple thousand milligrams of vitamin C that the best of the best say these are minimal amounts and they're great amounts, incredibly safe, and cost next to nothing when you're talking, for real considerable help. Iodine, for instance. Here's another thing. This bottle, let's see if you had 1,000. This bottle alone has about 600 drops, so this is $10 a bottle. If this was put into whatever the drinks are, however, one drop each person, it's proven to, the WHO, for years and years and years has suggested that's an essential medicine, and it's proven to raise IQ. It's proven to fight cancer, proven to fight pathogenic bacteria, virus, and things like that. And it's something that your thyroid, it's something that the glands and everything, every cell in the body is critically needs. Now, you don't have those kind of things. You don't have your B complexes or raw egg that cost 10 cents a day per person. That's all included in the cost. You don't have those things, and you have things going awry. You have a son like mine that's got a cancerous polyp in his pancreas and getting no help. Why? Why are we not taking care of these guys? I know everybody wants to be the judge and jury and to say, of course, horrible things have happened with many of these people that are in prison. On the other hand, we all got to look in the mirror once in a while to see, before we really judge people and what they've done, what have you done? And what have these other people done? I'm guessing that every one of the people that work in those prisons, almost every one of them, are on a drug or two themselves. Whether it's illicit or not, I don't know. But I can guarantee you one thing, that's America. We got 5% of the population and use 65% of the prescription drugs in the world. So I can bet you that that a good portion of those people that are working in there are doing drugs, and they're probably not doing drugs that are innocent and just like candy. We're talking about things that kill. But because they're deemed illegal or whatever it is, and yes, those got plenty of problems. I'm not saying they don't, but because they're deemed illegal because Big Pharma owns their asses, then okay, that's fine. Then they can do whatever they want, and it doesn't matter what the numbers say. And I suggest people really look at the number. Again, death by medicine is a great start, but you can look at the CDC and find the real numbers and how many people die in the United States alone just by properly prescribed prescription drugs. So it's my earnest suggestion that maybe this is the start of a series of videos, but it's my earnest hope that people will get behind this video and share it and say, what in God's name are we doing, or in whatever name you want to use, are we doing putting prisoners, throwing prisoners in there and giving them food that isn't fit for a pig? It isn't fit for a hyena. It isn't fit for human consumption by and large. And people say, well, we can't afford that. Are you kidding me? By keeping those inmates sick and by keeping them down and by keeping some of them aggressive and by keeping some of them doing things they do because of crap diet, which is very well proven throughout history and society, peer-reviewed journals, that when people get proper diet, their health changes, so does their attitude, so does their consciousness, all kinds of things. Everything changes in a positive sense. You find me a study that shows that when you give any person proper, healthy, live food, good, healthy broccoli, a live egg, or a hard-boiled egg, whatever it is, that make that be their diet. Force them to do it. You're going to force them to do all kinds of stuff in there. You might as well force them to get healthy. And allow them to do certain things like fast so they can actually come out of there a real human being and somebody who's not only strong just because they're weightlifting. I'm talking about strong in every cellular sense, that we can actually do something for society and make it a better place. It seems like we thrive in this country and in other countries. Again, this isn't just the United States, but that we thrive in this country on keeping people down, all for profit. And again, this isn't only a Western thing. This happens all over the place. But I'm concerned with the United States and the Philippines, and especially, of course, my son right now. And I would urge even the warden, if you see this at the Rochester Federal Prison, you see this, I'd love it. You want some ideas from me? I'll do it for free. And let me help my son and people like that maybe are losing hope because people won't even go out of their way to tell them where they stand and what they can do. He doesn't deserve that, and awful lot of inmates that are around don't deserve anything like that either. And the rest of society doesn't deserve it. So hopefully this is this is a good step in the right direction, and I hope that you share this. I'm new to this again. Hopefully, I've made some videos at BotTech66. Hopefully you can enjoy those, but subscribe, like, whatever it is that you got to do. We're just getting started here, and let's see what we can do to pass this around and see what we can seriously do for our society, for our people, and for the people that need us. And check your conscience and see what it really says. Dig deep before you go looking out there. Just go take a peek in the mirror and see what it is that we should do for others, for the least of these. There's a lot that we can do for these people. There's an awful lot of little kids around the world, 5-10 million, that ain't going to make it this year, all going to starve while we sit in labs of luxury, and we can do more. And we can start right here at home by taking care of those that have had all kinds of serious issues from head to toe, and have done things that, by and large, I'm sure that the major proportion of them seriously regret. Let's get them into a situation where they can come out healthy. Not just come out some kind of reform, to call it. He doesn't even get a chance to do any classes and stuff like that. They ain't doing squat in there. So let's see what we can do, and I hope this reaches some senators, and I don't care, maybe all the way up to the president. That's something that can actually get done. I'll do what I can to lead the way, whether it's in one prison or whatever else that I can do to help to make some serious suggestions. I'll write down some numbers, make it pretty simple, and say, no excuses. Let's help these people like you can help you. So I'll leave it at that, and hopefully that something get done, and we need to seriously consider the people that we like to forget, and that's a great place to start. And I'm starting with my son, and fortunately he's been able to share a lot of my notes with other inmates there, and has been a great help, and they really appreciate it a lot, and we need to do that. Help me do that. Help spread the word. And let's see what we can do together to not only help the inmates and people like that around the world, but to help the little ones that are dying for our attention. We got the money, we got the means, and we don't have to take it from everybody else to say we got it. So anyway, bless you guys, and let's see what we can do to make a difference, and salamat. Take care.